Are you not telling me something? Oh, not the hook, because you purposely left it out there.
Right. Okay. You've been at this for a long time with this
Fleetwood
group,
Mac, yeah.
with Fleetwood Mac. What changes have you noticed, or how would you express the changes in your music through the years?
Well, basically, it depends on people that obviously that listen to the band. The change really that has come in recently came in on Chris McVie, John McVie, and myself, which basically has been the basis of the band for about 5 years at any rate. And then prior to that, myself and John were the rhythm section. John plays bass, I play the drums. And the changes are purely writers that come into the band, like Stevie and Lindsay both write, and members that have since passed on, as it were, out of the band were writers. And there was definitely a strain of Fleetwood Mac through the whole thing, although there's been a lot of different styles of music. But it really depends on the listener rather than the people in the band to relate to how they feel about the changes.
How do you feel that your addition to the band has changed what they were doing, and how has it changed what you were doing?
Oh, it changed what I was doing a lot. Well, just as a writer, you know, sure, I'm going to touch them with my songs, you know.
Is it a collaborative effort when you put a song together? How much input does a writer have with the way it's going to sound on the record?
For me, it's very collaborative because I play guitar and I play piano, but I'm not a virtuoso at either. So I just sort of write a song very, very simply, and then I just sort of have to say here, because I can't go out and put all the great sounding parts on it because I just don't have the knowledge to do it. So I have to pretty much, you know, give it to them and say, do with it what you may, you know. And then I'm always there going, well, I'm not sure I like that way of doing it, but at the same time, on this particular album that's just gone by, everything they did on all my songs was, I couldn't have done them. If I had the knowledge to do them, I wouldn't have done them better, I don't think.
How about the hit single? All of a sudden there's a hit single that takes off.
Yeah.
When you're putting it together, can you sense something about it that makes it different?
No, in actual fact, that was, as a track on the album, was not considered. Obviously, when you made an album, you say, well, that and that would probably be in order of preference to be the obvious single. And that one wasn't the one until it just crept up, where it started being played a hell of a lot. And then it occurred to us that, in actual fact, because of that, we should make it the single, which we did.
In other words, you in this instance at least, waited for public taste to
Absolutely.
tell you what it was?
It was purely down to that it was creeping up behind everything else and was always there, and because no one had thought of it, it was a more healthy thing to do, to release that. And I think it's a sort of record that's not going to instantly be there, but it's creeping in and it's doing really well, which is always the best way to get a hit record, something that stays there for a long time and doesn't... very obvious hit records sometimes bore an audience after a couple of months being played on the radio. People can't stand it, you know, which I don't think would be the case with this particular record.
Do you think it signals a new direction musically, or is it just a continuation?
No, I think it's just really fortunate. You know, we're really happy about it. The only difference would be, sure, you now know that you've got a hit record, and that's it, and you hope you have a load more. It definitely gives people the chance, at any rate, which is always the way of, oh well, they're not going to have another hit, or this one isn't as good as that. But that always happens, whatever you do. You know, even if you're playing the local village hop, you know, and you play down the road in a big ball, and people say, oh well, not as good as they used to be. It just gives people and critics more apparent things to like or not to like, you know, which is part of what we do, and you accept that.
How about touring? How do you feel about touring? You've been on a long tour.
A very, very long tour. In fact, the longest
really,
I've ever
May
done.
10th. We had a month off in Hawaii, but we have not really had any time off. A couple days in L.A. here and there, you know.
How does that work with the band?
Mm?
How does that affect everything?
Well, I mean, for obvious things, I mean, people get tired and you tend not to have or allow yourself the time to do things that you'd like to do, because you literally have to pace yourself through the day. You're traveling, and like today, last few nights, for whatever reasons, a few of us haven't had the right amount of sleep, so you really seriously have to say, well, you don't talk too much, you don't let yourself think too much until the last couple of hours in the evening, where you pull yourself together, which is something you get used to doing.